Good morning, audience. As an economics faculty, it is my duty to explain about methods or stages that occurs in control of public expenditure in India. In current situation, that is during this COVID-19 pandemic period, our government is having huge shortfall in its revenue. So it is a tough time for our country. It has to cut down its expenditure accordingly. Actually, the Ministry of Finance is responsible in taking decisions at current scenario to protect our economy by controlling public expenditure. Basically, how the public expenditure is controlled is the focus of today's class. Well, we will move on to the core of the topic today. We are in COVID-19 pandemic situation, so it's right time to study about this control of public expenditure. Okay, students, let me start with the first one. Actually, public expenditure has grown consistently both in the center and the states during recent years. It is necessary to keep watch over public expenditure with a view to ensure economy and avoid waste. Due to many reasons, due to many factors, the growth of public expenditure is rapid that we are aware of that. The control of public expenditure is done through different agencies and different methods in accordance with the constitution of the country. In India, public expenditure is controlled through the following methods. Number one, the parliamentary control. Number two, the executive and exchequer control. Number three, the finance department control. And number four, the audit control. These are all the main stages. They are all responsible in controlling public expenditure to bring income, revenue, and expenditure in a best way. First, let me start with this parliamentary control. To quote Premchand, one of the economists, parliamentary control in India, as in the UK, is based on the famous principle the Crown demands money, the Commons grant it, and the Lords assert to it. This is what happening in India also. It is the Lok Sabha which imposes taxes and makes public expenditure. Lok Sabha is the uh, that is a structure which imposes taxes and makes public expenditure. After the presentation of the budget, a series of discussion is made under the financial bill. The starting point of control of public expenditure is the control of a fund in which all the money received by the government are paid. So the first step of control occurs in Lok Sabha. According to the Article 266 of the Constitution of India, all revenues raised and all loans and money received in payment of loans shall be paid into the consolidated fund. Here, the term consolidated fund is more important. Even in all the countries, most of the countries, they used to have this type of fund to take resources, to take fund from that fund, and they'll go for the expenditure. So I'll repeat this. According to the Article 266 of the Constitution of India, all revenues raised and all loans and money received in payment of loans shall be paid into the consolidated fund, and money cannot be withdrawn except in accordance with law. So from that fund also, the money should be drawn in accordance with the law. That no money can be kept outside the fund and no money can be spent out of this fund without legal sanction is the first step in the control. This we have to remember. The first step is from the consolidated fund without the permission, without the sanction, no money should be withdrawn. That is given here that no money can be kept outside the fund. Okay. No money can be kept outside the fund. If that happens, means that is against rule, against the law. And no money can be spent out of this fund without legal sanction is the first step in the control of public expenditure. It is through voting and sanctioning by the parliament the respective ministers can spend the money earmarked for them. Certain payments, however, fall outside the purview of voting by the parliament. They are obligatory payments and they cannot be questioned in the Lok Sabha. Okay, before we focus on this non-voting grants, actually all the grants and all the demands must be or will be sanctioned in the parliament after the voting. After the voting, then after that the appropriation bill will be passed. Then the respective ministers can spend the money earmarked for them. Here they have to go for the canon of economy that they must be very careful in spending the money. So for that, the other controlling agencies will cross check how the concerned ministers are spending the money. Likewise, certain payments, however, fall outside the purview of voting by the parliament. They are obligatory payments and they cannot be questioned in the Lok Sabha. These payments are salaries and allowances of Speaker of Lok Sabha and Chairman of Rajya Sabha, salaries and allowances paid to the President of India, salaries and allowances paid to the Controller and Auditor General of India, members of Public Service Commission, salaries and allowances to judges of Supreme Court and High Courts, and interest charges relating to public payment of the country. All these items are charged to consolidated fund and they are not subject to voting right. So in the parliament, these components will not come under the voting rights. Without voting, these can be decided by the chairman or speaker of the Rajya Sabha. How much salaries and how much allowances should be given to all these experts. The next, the parliamentary control is exercised through cut motion with a view to avoid certain wasteful expenditures. This is also most important that too in this actually during this pandemic period, this cut motion used to be given much importance because this canon of economy must be followed here. This luxurious expenditure, unavoidable, then other unnecessary expenditure should be avoided. Even some of the necessary expenditures also the surplus money will be cut by the members of the parliament. Okay, the parliamentary control is exercised through cut motion with a view to avoid certain wasteful expenditures. The parliament has smaller committees which will work on as watchdogs of public expenditure. Yes, these smallest committees they will work on this and they will work as watchdogs and how to cut the expenditure. All those decisions will be taken by those people, the members of those committees. These committees are a. Public Accounts Committee, then B. Estimate Committee, C. Committee on Public Undertakings. Okay, first one is the Public Accounts Committee. It is constituted by the Parliament at the commencement of each session for the purpose of scrutinizing the report of the Controller and Auditor General on matters which the Finance Department might refer to it. It has more than 20 elected members of the House who are elected by the members from among themselves. The chairman of the committee is a member of the House appointed by the Speaker. The deputy speaker is the chairman of the committee and the parliament. Actually, this is the structure, the members who are all responsible for this public accounts committee. The main functions of this committee are to find out whether the sanctioned money are legally available for the purpose to which they have been applied. This is the first for most function. That is, I'll repeat this, to find out whether the sanctioned money are legally available for the purpose to which they have been applied. The second one is the expenditure conforms to the authority which governs it. Third one is that every reappropriation is made in accordance with the provision and the rules framed by competent authority. The findings of the committee and its periodical reports are compiled by the Controller and Auditor General into epitomes. Okay, these functions are more important that we have to remember, especially the main focus to cut the public expenditure starts here. The next one is the estimates committee. It works as an economy committee, that is the economizing the expenditure, avoiding the wasteful expenditure. Everything is decided by this estimates committee. It is concerned with the policy of the government. It is having the responsibility to implement the policy of the government with the economizing the expenditure. The purpose of this committee is to see that minimum expenditure is incurred for the purpose of fulfilling the policy of the government. As minimum as possible is the main goal of this estimates committee. That is, the purpose of this committee is to see that minimum expenditure is incurred for the purpose of fulfilling the policy of the government. The committee consists of 30 members, including a chairman appointed by the speaker. If the deputy speaker is a member of here, the deputy speaker is also a member of the committee to examine whether the money is well laid out within the limits of the policy implied in the estimate, to suggest the form in which the estimate shall be presented to the Parliament. The Secretariat of the committee examines the estimates to ensure that the classification of the heads of items under charged and voted has been done properly. Then the report is sent to the ministry, which are submitted in the House finally. By convention, the recommendations of the parliamentary committees receive full consideration from the ministers. See, next one is the Committee on Public Undertakings. It consists of 15 members, of which 10 are from Lok Sabha and 5 are from Rajya Sabha. From 10 members of the Lok Sabha, the Speaker will nominate a member for the chairman and the committee, chairman of the committee. The main function of the committee is to find out whether the affairs of public undertaking are being managed in accordance with sound business principles and commercial practices. Committee evaluates the performance of public undertakings with respect to policies, programs, management, financial performance, and so on. It is interesting to observe that the report of the Committee of Public Sector Undertakings is not discussed in Parliament as a matter of convention. Only the first committee, then second estimates committee reports will be explicitly read out in the Parliament, not this Public Accounts Committee. Okay. The next stage is the execution and executive control. Actually, public expenditure is further controlled through the executives of the departments, who should examine and satisfy the need, economy, and objectives of every item of public expenditure. So each and every department secretaries and officials, they are all having the responsibility to satisfy the needs. That is, they have to examine the need, economy, and objectives of every item of public expenditure. The executive control forms the main controlling machinery. This is done by fixing standard of financial property and fixing levels of responsibility. The standards of financial property are laid down in central financial rules of the government. This gives the complete accounts of the responsibilities with heads of departments, controlling officers, and disbursing officers. To exercise control, budget come account head should be strictly followed. Each department has to furnish the detailed account to the accountant general. As far as the executive control is concerned, there is a difference between UK and India. In UK, all are controlled by the exchequer, but in India, there are different agencies, that is, district treasury, then the sub treasury, which are authorized to make payments on behalf of the government on presentation of bills and checks by drawing officers. So we have two tier system here. There are three types of accounts. They are consolidated fund account, public account, and contingency fund account. These accounts are submitted to the accountant general to make sure that no double withdrawals are made against a single sanction. The next one is the department control. It is also known as budgetary control. It is exercised by the finance ministry, which possesses control over all the spending ministries and departments as a custodian of all public funds. The finance ministry exercises control through control of estimates, power of sanctioning expenditure, reappropriation of grants, and internal audit. After the budget is passed by the parliament, the finance ministry distributes the grants to the spending departments, and the head of each department is the controlling officer for the department to whom the appropriations are allocated. I'll repeat this. After the budget is passed by the parliament, the finance ministry distributes the grants to the spending departments, and the head of each department is the controlling officer for the department to whom the appropriations are allocated. The controlling officers allocate grants to the disbursing officers. There are financial codes and rules which govern the procedure and powers of each class of officers. No money could be spent by the public servant without specific sanction. The last one is the audit control. It is the purpose of auditing to check irregularities of expenditure and of accounting. The head of the Audit Department of India is the Controller and Auditor General of India. He is an independent person appointed by the President of India. The duties and powers of the Auditor General of India are as follows. He audits and reports on all expenditures from the revenue. He audits and reports on all transactions of the center. He is responsible for keeping accounts of the center except those relating to defense and railways and the states. He prepares each year accounts showing the annual receipt and disbursements for the center and the states and submits the same to the respective governments. He prepares and submits a general financial statement to the president relating to the accounts of each year showing balance and outstanding liabilities and other information required by the president. So he's having more of responsibilities and difficult tasks to control over the entire expenditures of the whole country. The Auditor General submits two types of reports, one on the appropriation accounts and the second on finance accounts. These reports are considered by the Public Accounts Committee of the legislature. The committees at the center and in the states are respectively assisted by the Controller and Auditor General and the Accountant General of the state. The Controller and Auditor General is an important agency responsible for an efficient financial administration. So, with this, we are finishing this control of public expenditure. Actually, this control of public expenditure is an important agency, an important sector in the Ministry of Finance. At every time, especially at the time of emergencies, at the time of pandemic, the Ministry of Finance have to concentrate on this control of public expenditure. Thank you.